This is the Make Life Rich Movement podcast with me, your host, Sara Kelly. In this movement, I invite entrepreneurs, both brand spanking new and seasoned vets, to join me in sharing their thought processes around business strategy, growth, and crafting a business that you can actually live with. In this show, I'm going to teach you step by step how to build the business of your life that you have always wanted while helping you to organize and grow with strategy. When there is strategy to be shared and learned from, you can guarantee we will cover it here in an episode. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we craft your dream life together with interviews with some of my favorite entrepreneurs. And on Sundays, we do the Sunday strategy session, where I give you a template and your plan for the week ahead to grow your business ahead 1%. So grab your bevy of choice, my Richies, a notepad for brainstorming, settle into your comfy chair, and join me on the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. It's time to grow, my Richies.
Thank you.
Let's go.
And as always, make life rich. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, my Richies, and welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Strategy Sessions here on the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. My name is Sara. I'm your host. And today I'm sharing my thoughts on manifesting with intent. But before we get into that, I want to acknowledge a few things. One, I'm going to give filming over here a go for my Sunday strategy sessions. This is my desk area. This is where most of my thoughts and things happen that I talk about on this podcast. And I love it. So here's my desk. Give you a little view. This is a set of spiral staircases that goes to the third floor. This is a piece of art that my dad made that's hanging on the wall. It is a wood knot of roots, tree roots. It is accidentally the same color as my hair, so it can look very Mrs. Simpson-esque. I understand this. I'm aware of it. I'm working on getting something to replace that and figure out where to put this instead. But in the meantime, it's art. This is my hair. Great. I've been learning so much about manifestation and really been leaning into learning it from neuroscientists. Joe Dispenza sent me down a whole rabbit hole during CVID, and it got me to spiritually adopt and understand what the process was. I love it. It resonates with me deeply. I had already been doing it, but didn't understand why I was doing it. So that was really cool, super validating, loved it. Since then, I've been on a journey of reading more work done by neuroscientists regarding the brain, mindset, patterns, manifestations, visualizing things, and the science and data that comes along with that. And one thing that really stuck out for me that I was able to kind of pair back to a very distinct time within my own personal growth was manifesting with proper, aligned, authentic intent, and not manifesting from a fear-based place. There will be a number of individuals that you'll come to know in your life, and you'll see that they had a really great trajectory with something that they were doing. And then there came a moment where the burnout or the breakdown was so severe that they completely stopped what they were doing. Typically, that's because they were operating out of fear and not out of alignment with their goals and their intentions, and where their personal growth was, and able to carry and motivate and continue to drive this goal forward and upward and onward. And I had noticed that some of my most favorite mentors in my head, people like Ed Milet, were really reaching a peak in their financial and business success that was mind-boggling for them, beyond what they had ever dreamed of acquiring for themselves. But in this current peak of absolute prowess, they found themselves not being in alignment with the way they wanted to live their life, the cortisol levels they wanted to have to get things done, and also just to exist and find peace and equanimity within the balance of their life. And it was really heartbreaking for me to hear and see Ed go through this transformation and this process. And it also scared me. It literally scared me to death, because at the time I had been working myself into a hole and nothing was really panning out for me success-wise. But I had been operating from such a place of fear that I was never really giving myself a moment to step back and go back to the drawing board and just figure out where I was as a person and what I truly wanted to do as a person. And what I wanted to do as a person at the time, which is this, and sharing my learnings on self-development and growth and giving grace to yourself and really tuning into and believing in and giving hope and faith to the fact that you do have a purpose and it's likely aligned with your passion. But hearing Ed's story and quite frankly, feeling like I was a part of it because I had been following him throughout his career and consider myself to be like one of his biggest fans, like my Taurus brother. And it really scared me to think that I could be heading myself in the same direction of working so hard to make one thing so successful while not really putting in place any kind of parameters or boundaries within this search and this hunt for success that's going to protect me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. So I thank him for his sacrifice because and being so transparent with it and so vulnerable and sharing where he was and what it's done to his health and what it's done to his life and his relationships and what he wants to do about going on rectifying that. And he is currently in a sabbatical of doing just that. And I wish him well in that journey. And I'm so thankful that he shared what he did because it really made me take a step back over the last year and truly, truly hone in on what is most important to me. And what is most important to me is being with my family, spending time with my husband, being able to grow with him spiritually, emotionally, physically, being able to explore and learn new things and see new beautiful things in nature and connect with people and feel those beautiful moments of like universal connection that we all find and smiling at sunsets and reveling in the fact that I got to wake up for another sunrise. Like these are the things that are so priceless. They cannot be bought. They cannot be purchased. It doesn't matter how many millions upon millions I make. I can't make these things happen. And I can't guarantee that I'm going to have the time or the physical bandwidth to be able to do them and enjoy them in the future. So Ed's message and Ed's it's like on one hand, a lot of people were criticizing him for like, bro, you're worth like 500 million, go cry me a river. And you're like Donald Duck Bank, swim it away, you know? And that really hurt me for him because it's like, no matter how much money you have, you're still a human being with emotions. You're still a human being with overwhelming feelings that can make life really difficult. And the lack of empathy for those that have reached a pinnacle of success business wise, but are hurting so deeply and needing so much internally because that was what was affected in that quest and that acquisition of success really just I think it's really blossoming and opening a complete hole within the hustle culture that's been around since what feels like 2008, that really big time period of financial insecurity and causing so many with drive and ambition to just go out on their own. And for those that jumped in around that time, like Ed did, that hustle for so many decades felt like the right place to focus your attention. We were never really forced to be in a place of presence. I think after 2008, 9/11, or before 2008, 9/11 kind of did really impregnate the country with moments of pause where we were thankful for what we had. We were thankful for our time with our family. We were thankful for our freedom and our safety. And then in comfort, those things kind of settled on the bottom. 2008 shook them up again, but I think it just made the young and the hungry kind of just really truly strive and run and jump towards anything that they could get. And then 5 to 8 years later, figuring out that they could do more of what they loved and still make money and take what they learned within those first few years and then go from that. And now I'm going to learn business and money management and how can I develop that into something bigger and bigger and bigger. All the while, all along, finding themselves in a place where there is truly no real ability to intellectualize what's happening to you, have that catch up interpersonally with your spiritual growth and your emotional growth and where you're at with your mindset and what it is you truly want, because things change. They change quickly and they're allowed to change. You don't have to stick to a goal you set 5 years prior. Pivoting and the art of the pivot is beautiful. And in the lessons and the stories that we receive from our great mentors like Ed Milet, I hope that this gives you the ability to take the pressure off of the business success being the only thing that matters to you and being the only thing that you allow to gauge your place in this world and what you're capable of and what your purpose is. Because if the great ones that have reached these pinnacles of business success have taught us anything, it's that the most precious things in life cannot be purchased. And at the peaks of your success, these will be the things you reach for the most. And they may be out of reach if you haven't been nurturing them and building the foundations of them and escalating them to the next level and the next level in alignment with the authenticity of where you're at and what you're doing in your life and what you should be doing in your life. I love being able to sit back and look at my timeline and what my desired purpose is for just the very next step and what I want to do with that. And in order to set the intention from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Sophie barks. So please remove the last bit of that sentence and start from here. I started to look at where I needed to replace my visualizations that came from a place of fear with one that came from a place of authenticity and where I'm actually at right now in my life. And this journey started about a year ago, this particular point of focus around the time that Ed came out with, his truth of where he was in his life and how his career was going to be shifted and changed a bit to accommodate the healing and the growth that he needed to work on exclusively for the foreseeable future. And within that time frame, I found myself understanding that, yes, I have incredible skill sets as a business strategist, and I do deeply enjoy helping small business owners. And that's something I think I'll always do in one capacity or another. But for me, I knew that I needed to go all in on really owning the fact that I'm someone that is really focusing on the full embodiment of aligning my spirit, this body that I have right here, this personality with my soul and its purpose for while I'm here for this timeline. And what can I do with it? What are my skill sets? How can I share them? What are my talents? How can I evolve them and give them to the masses? And for me, that was this podcast. That was taking the things that I learned and sharing them on the Sunday strategy sessions. That's me reading books of amazing thought leaders and authors and entrepreneurs and entertainers and athletes and scientists and sharing them with you in interview episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And in leaning into that and really honing and accepting that me dialing into my spiritual quest and being very open and honest with the fact that I'm growing and evolving psychologically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally throughout this process via episodes that I'm sharing with you is very much outside of the wheelhouse of anything I ever thought I'd be doing with my life. As a 15-year publicist and business strategist, this wasn't really, something I thought I'd be doing, let alone would be like where my success really starts to blossom and take off. And I do believe that it's because I finally aligned my visualizations and the actions that I take to get to that place are coming from a place of what I really want, what my heart really wants, and what I believe my soul was put here to do, which is to share support and encouragement and aspirational stories of others to my listeners to help them find their path in life and figure out what their very specific purpose was and why they were put here and who they were meant to help and how they were meant to serve. It feels amazing. And it's something that was absolutely worth the crazy turmoil of ignoring the safe route. And this was a safe route that I had chiseled time and time and time and time again, down to something more authentic and more authentic and more authentic. And even in this place of this being the third, fourth, fifth rendition over the last 15 years of how I wanted to use my skill set, it still didn't feel right. It wasn't something I could blanketly do for everyone and anyone if my heart wasn't in it. The clients that I work with one-on-one now are absolutely people that I just love their mission. I love what they're doing, and I want to help them to get at it quicker and more successfully while still staying in alignment with what feels good about who they are and what they want to do in life. But outside of that, this podcast just lights me up. And it was worth every moment of looking fear in the face and saying, "You're a liar. I know what I was put here for. I know what I'm meant to do. I know where my skills lie, and I know where my passion comes from. And you are a liar." Fear is a liar. Don't let it dissuade you from the things that you were meant to do. Don't let it tinge any kind of like light of flow and creativity and happiness and joy that comes from you doing the things that light you up in life. You're allowed to have these things. They are your God-given responsibility to pay attention to and to develop. And in not doing that and becoming a cog in the wheel and, falling into a system and ignoring that you have desires and wishes and passions and talents that exude every pore of your body that you're meant to get out there, like, it's a sin. We all have to find ourselves in a space to where we all have bills to pay, right? Not all of us is going to get to start a business tomorrow that we love and enjoy and is successful, but you sure as shit can start a spiritual journey that's going to help you to get anywhere in life way quicker, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, than you could if you just kept doing what you're doing now for the rest of your life, day in and day out. Another thing that Ed says that I absolutely love and got me through a lot of the really hard moments in my grief journey early on when my father was about to pass and then passed was his anecdote of saying that when he dies and goes to heaven, he meets the person he could have been because he allowed fear to dictate his life. Instead of looking fear in the face, taking it for what it was, which is a lesson and a difficult one that causes a bit of suffering, that stirs up a little bit of the tissue, makes it a little bit of a wound that you need to heal back stronger and better for the next lesson in the future. And that really just hit me to my core. And just in combinations with understanding life is so precious. And in my father's final moment of breath, which I felt, and then felt him leave his body, I was like, wow, I know what life is about. I know what life is for. I know what I need to do. And more importantly, I know what I want, which is presence and having those moments of reality and real life and universal connection every day that remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I never lose sight of what I want when I'm reaching for these outrageous, huge, gigantic, hairy, scary goals. But in reaching for step-by-step action that is based from a heart space rather than a fear space of anxiety and, it's all going to come together. And it's going to come together in the exact way that the universe or God or whoever you talk to when you talk about your dreams knows is best for you. It really is a beautiful, beautiful way to honor your life and honor those you care about and honor the potential of others through just sharing your gifts. I hope this got something stirring inside of you. If you think that you know what you want to do, but you're not really sure and you want someone to share it with, please DM me, or you can use the link in the show notes to leave me a voice note. It would mean the world to me to just encourage you and let you know that I see you. And if there's anything I can do to help you on your way, it would absolutely be my pleasure. But I really hope that you bet on you today and tomorrow and the day after that, because you deserve it. We all deserve it. And the more of us that take this chance, the more normal it becomes, and the more often it's something that others feel safe and comfortable to do. This mosquito wanted to make an appearance. Oh, and now a bee. My goodness, we're attracting all the fauna. My Richies, it means the absolute world to me to have your time and your attention and your love. Thank you always for listening. Please tune in on Tuesday. We have an amazing interview coming for you. And as always, make life rich.